Dear students, welcome to Tungala online classes. So in this video, let us start with the next topic, that is placentation. In the last video, as we discussed different conditions of gynosium, so based on the number of locules, based on the number of carpels, so as well as what is gynosium, what are the parts of gynosium, everything that we discussed regarding the gynosium. And now we shall start with the placentation. So what is placentation then? The question arises here. Before going to see this one, we must understand what actually the placenta is, where actually the placenta is present, right? So these are the questions arising, right? So let us solve these questions first, then we can understand what is placentation. See here, in the last video, I had explained about the carpillary leaf, right? So it is the fourth whorl of the flower. So carpillary leaf forms the carpel, right? So how the carpillary leaf is and how it is formed, so everything I have explained. But still, now it is essential to understand, so how the carpillary leaf is, how it is forming the carpel, right? So in the last video, I had shown one leaf. So this is one leaf I had shown, okay. This is one margin of the leaf. This is another margin of the leaf. There are two margins of the leaf which are present over here, and when these two margins fuse themselves, so that moment what happens? Both the margins are fused over here. On this inner side of the ovary, now it forms the ovary, the basal bulbous part forms the ovary, and upper part forms the narrow slender part forms the, that is style, and ultimately the tip portion of the style that forms the stigma. Like this, there are three parts that we come across. The lower basal part we concentrate over here along the length of this gynosium. Let us see here, when this is the leaf, when this leaf that moment, so it fuses like this. So on this side there the ventral suture is formed. What is formed? Ventral suture is formed. This joined part itself is said to be as ventral suture. On the inner side of this ventral suture, on the inner side, so there one ridge-like structure is formed, and that ridge-like structure is said to be as a placenta. I hope you are imagining now, right? So am I right? So see here, the same leaf I am going to fold and join these two margins over here. When these two margins are joined over here, there forms the ventral suture. So that ventral suture I am going to highlight over here. See here, this is, right? So this is how the leaf is, okay. Imagine yourself, when these two parts that join each other, the structure looks like this, and this forms the ventral suture. What it is? Ventral suture, okay. So this part itself is said to be as ventral suture now, and on this ventral suture there one ridge-like structure is formed, and this ridge-like structure is distributed inside the ovary wall like this, and this ridge-like structure, what we call it as is placenta. What it is known as? Placenta. On the ridge-like structure, there the attachment of what take place? The attachment of ovule take place. On the placenta, what is attached over here? Ovules are attached over here. So now I hope you are so much familiar now what actually the placenta is. Okay, what is ventral suture and what is placenta? Everything is very clear to you, I hope, right? So this the manner of the distribution of this placentae. Placentae is a plural form of placenta, right? The manner of the distribution of this placentae within the ovary is called as what? Is called as placentation. Is it very clear to you? Right? So let us see the definition of placentation. Definition of placentation. What is the definition of placentation? The manner of distribution of placentae within the ovary is called as placentation. Is called as placentation. I hope it is very clear to you, right? Imagine yourself some fruits. Inside the fruit, seeds are present. So these seeds are formed due to the fertilized ovule. Ovules after fertilization become seed, and the fruit after fertilization become so the ovary after fertilization becomes what? Fruit. Within the fruit, seeds are present. Seeds are nothing but, here imagine yourself, these are ovules. Okay, these are ovules. Okay, so like this, imagine yourself, this is one fruit, what I am drawing here. Okay, this is one fruit that you come across. In that fruit, the carpillary leaf have joined over here. This forms what? Ventral suture. On the ventral suture, what happens here? A ridge of, what is formed over here? A ridge of tissue is formed. And what is this ridge of tissue called as? Placenta. Placenta. And on the placenta, what are present? What are present? Ovules are present. And what is this one? Locule. Locule. How many locule is there? Only one locule, only one cavity is present within the ovary. So this is the one fruit, right? Beans you might have gone through, right? There the seeds are arranged like this on the margin of the ovary, on the margin of the fruit. Then this kind of placentation is said to be as marginal placentation. Like this, many varieties of placentations that we come across over here. Okay, so now you are so clear that, so how the placenta is, how the ventral suture is. What is ventral suture? What is placenta? You came to know. What is placentation? You came to know ultimately. That is nothing but the way of distribution of placentae within the ovary wall is called as placentation, or within the ovary is called as placentation. So now I hope it is so much clear to you, right? Okay, so the different types of placentation that we will go through now. So one example I have taken over here, and I have shown one type of placentation, that is marginal placentation. So one type of placentation, that is marginal placentation. Marginal placentation. Okay, what is marginal placentation? Here in this fruit, you are seeing the ovules or the seeds arranged over here. So how many locules it has? Single. In unilocular ovary, if the distribution of placentae that takes place on one margin, then that type of placentation is called as marginal placentation. Is called as marginal placentation. One more ovary you can take over here. This is one more ovary. On this ovary, there the ventral suture is present over here. On this ventral suture, what is formed over here? This is a ridge-like structure is formed. On the ridge-like structure, what are formed? So the ovules are present. Where actually the ovules are present over here? The ovules are present on the margin of the ovary. Then what is the type of placentation? It is marginal placentation. What it is? Marginal placentation. So like this, so marginal placentation is one type of placentation. So this is 5 mark question. Please concentrate over this topic, and so there should not be even a single doubt on this one. Okay. So second type of placentation I am going to write over here. So what is the second type of placentation? It is exile placentation. What is that? Exile placentation. It is a type of placentation in which many number of compartments or the cavities or the locules are present over here, right? 2 or more number of locules are see here. I can take one example of trilocular ovary over here. So trilocular gynosium over here. Okay, so this is trilocular. Okay, this is trilocular, where the distribution of placenta has taken place over here. So this is more important aspect. So if one compartment is there, yesterday I had very clearly said this one compartment of the ovary indicates one carpel, that is ovary, right? So this is second carpel and third carpel, tricarpellary condition it is said as. Okay, so this is formed due to the fusion of one carpillary leaf, and this is formed as a result of the fusion of one more carpillary leaf. This is also one more carpillary leaf. All the carpillary leaves are making the ventral suture at the central axis. See here. So this carpillary leaf fuses over here in this region, and there one ridge is formed. And this carpillary leaf fuses over here, and there it forms one more ridge-like structure. Here also one ridge-like structure. On this ridge-like structure, what are formed over here? What are formed over here? These are ovules. Right? Ovules are formed on the ridge-like structure. What is that ridge-like structure known as? Placentae. How the manner of the distribution of placentae, where actually it is distributed? It is distributed on the central axis. On the central axis, right? It is forming the central axis. On the central axis, what had happened over here? The distribution of placentae has taken place. On the placentae, what are present? On the placentae, the ovules are formed. Then this type of placentation is called as exile placentation. What it is known as? Exile placentation. So there are different types of placentations are there based on the distribution of placentae within the ovary, right? So I hope you are so clear about the marginal placentation and the exile placentation. Exile placentation, the best examples are, so you can take the example of what? So hibiscus plant itself, pentalocular, right? So pentacarpellary condition is seen in the gynosium. So what is indicated over here? So the 5 segments or the 5 lobed or a pentalobed stigma indicates that there are 5 carpels fused over here, forming 5 compartments. Within the 5 compartments, what is seen over there? So ridge-like structure, where the ridge-like structure is formed at the central axis, and on that ridge-like structure, what is formed? Ovules are formed over here. So like this, exile placentation it is, right? Next placentation is parietal placentation. Third one is parietal placentation. As the name suggests, parietal, means on the peripheral side. So on the peripheral side, what is happening over here? So on the peripheral side, the distribution of placentae has taken place over here. I am going to show the same thing over here. This is the ovary. Imagine yourself. Okay, on the ovary we'll find some regions. So see here, so here unilocular it is. Unilocular means single cavity, single locule is present over here. In unilocular ovary, so right, the fusion of what take place? Carpillary leaves take place. So at some regions where it forms the what? The ridge, right? It forms the ridge, right? And on this ridge itself, what is formed? Usually the ovules are formed over here. Where actually the ovules are formed here? The ovules are formed on the margin of the ovary wall, on the inner wall of the ovary, right? So what has taken place over here is, at certain points the fusion of what has taken place? Carpillary leaves have taken place. So here what happens over here? In unilocular ovary, the distribution of placentae has taken place on the margin, on the peripheral side, not on the marginal side, on the peripheral sides, right, where the formation of ovules has taken place on the peripheral side of the inner wall of the ovary. Then the condition is known as, that kind of placentation is known as parietal placentation, right? So in parietal placentation, the distribution of placentae that take place in the peripheral side of the ovary. Example for this one is, example for this parietal placentation is Cucurbitaceae. Family members. Cucurbitaceae family members, best example for parietal placentation. One exceptional case is there in parietal placentation. What is that? See here, so this is the ovary. This is the ovary, which is unilocular one, which is unilocular one. Only one locule is present. See here, sometimes what happens in case of Cruciferae family, in case of Cruciferae family, or it is also called as Brassicaceae family, right? So in these members of this family, what happens? Even though the ovary is unilocular, it becomes bilocular. So due to the formation of one false septum, due to the formation of a false septum, what happens here? So this ovary looks to be as bilocular, right? Actually it is unilocular. There the false septum is formed over here, and due to the formation of this false septum, what is happening here? It is looking to be as bilocular one, right? So this kind of exceptional case is there in parietal placentation, one thing. And the next one is basal placentation. Basal placentation, Helianthus annuus is the best example. That is nothing but sunflower. Sunflower is the best example for this basal placentation. What happens here? So, if this is the ovary, there only one ovule is present at the base of the ovary on the placenta. Placenta is distributed at the base of the ovary and it has only one ovule. So, right, this kind of the placentation is called as what? Basal placentation. What it is known as? Basal placentation. So, the best example is Helianthus annulus, right. So, this is one more type of placentation. How many placentations that we discussed? Number 1, so that is marginal placentation. Number 2, so axial placentation. Number 3, parietal placentation, and number 4, basal placentation. And the next type of placentation is, next one is free central placentation. Free central placentation. It is a type of placentation in which, the placenta arises from the base of the ovary. See here, this is the ovary. From the base of the ovary, the placenta arises, and it becomes a swollen one. It becomes swollen, right? When it becomes swollen and distribution of ovules take place on the entire surface of this swollen placenta, right? On the surface of this one, the distribution of ovules take place. Okay. The distribution of all these ovules take place all over the surface of this swollen placenta, which arises from the base of the ovary. And this kind of placenta is said to be as a free central one, which is located at the central axis, and it is said to be as a free central one. Hence, the type of placentation itself is free central placenta. So, the best example for this one is primrose and dianthus. Dianthus and primrose are the best examples for free central placentation. And the next type is a final type and last type, that is superficial placentation. Superficial placentation. Here, locules are, a number of locules are present, means multilocular condition is seen, multicarpillary ovary is present over here. Imagine this is the ovary, it is multicarpillary and multilocular. See here, many locules that you come across in this ovary. Okay. See here what happens in multilocular and multicarpillary ovary. So, what happens over here? Distribution of placenta take place on the partition walls, all over the partition walls. See here. So, then if the placenta is present or distributed on this partition wall, then what happens? Number of ovules are present over here on this partition wall, all over this one. Okay. Okay. Here ovules are distributed like this on the partition walls. Then this kind of placentation is called as what? It is called as superficial placentation. It is known as superficial placentation, right? So, like this, many ovules are distributed on the placentae, right? So, this kind of placentation is known as superficial placentation. Okay, these are different types of placenta that we come across. So in annual examination, this will be one fixed question for you people. What is placenta? What is placentation? What are the types of placentation? You explain them, right? So with their respective examples. Nymphia is example for this one. Nymphia is an example for superficial placentation. So like this, there are different types of placentation. So concentrate over the examples which are given in NCERT. Number of examples are given over there, and you note down all those examples for respective type of placentation. And so there is a possibility of asking the match the following type of a question in NEET examination. Concentrate over it. Okay, so this is all about the placentation, and after this placentation there will have to study the semi-technical terms used for describing the flowering plant, right? So what are those semi-technical terms that we use to describe the flowering plants? Let us see now itself. See here, a semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant, right? So the taxonomical description, it is also known as. Now we came to know what is taxonomy, how to study that one, okay? And we came to know the morphological feature of flowering plants. So as we know, there are different parts, that is vegetative parts, that we come across over here. We'll have to describe them. Many terms that you know so as to describe the flowering plants, okay? So what are those things which are needed for describing the flowering plants? Let us study. That is very much useful for us to study different types of flowering plants, that is different families of the flowering plants, okay? Now we shall start with a semi-technical description of a flowering plant, right? So what it includes? This includes taxonomical description. You know, till now we have studied many number of terminologies that helps us to describe the flowering plant, right? So all the floral parts are described with the help of many terms, right? In the same way, the entire plant body is described with many terms, and we are going to describe the plant with all those terms that we have already learned, right? So this would help us to describe a family, right? A member of the family, that is nothing but any flowering plant can be described. And this semi-technical description starts from always habit of the plant, right? What is habit of the plant? I will explain, right? After that one, root system, stem, right? And their modification, leaf and their modification, and so floral parts that we study. All these are the things that we are going to describe one by one. So with the help of those terms, till now whatever we have studied. So let's start with the semi-technical description of a flowering plant, right? So it always starts from habit of the plant, and after that one, how is the root system, how is the stem in those plant, and how the leaf, whether the leaves are simple or compound, right? How the floral parts that we describe over here, right? So these are all the things that we are going to describe. Apart from this one, new things that we study regarding this one, that is a floral formula, and last one is floral diagram, right? So these are the things that we are going to study one by one now itself. So let us start with the first one, that is habit of the plant, right? How is the habit of the plant? How to describe that one? Some examples let us see here. So how the habit of the plant, whether the plant is annual, biannual, perennial, right? So whether the plant is annual plant, biennial plant, perennial plant, right? Whether the plant is herbaceous, herb, or it may be shrub, or it may be tree, or sometimes climber. How the plant is, so that is nothing but habit of the plant, what we describe. So what kind of plant actually it is, where it is growing, so whether it is mesophyte, right? So or xerophyte, right? Whether it is mesophyte, xerophyte, epiphytic plant, epiphyte. So like this, many terms that we use to describe the plant itself. If there are any modifications are there or peculiar characteristic features are there, means whether the plant is deciduous or evergreen itself, so something else, right? So like this we describe the habit of the plant first, and after this habit of the plant, so let's go to the root system. How is the root system? Let us see. So how is the root system? The root system may be what? Tap root system sometimes, or sometimes fibrous root system. So sometimes what happens? Adventitious root system, right? So like this, any one of these may be present in that particular plant. By using these technical terms, we will have to describe the flowering plant, right? So if it is tap, fibrous, adventitious. If it is adventitious, then what kind of adventitious root it is? It is an adventitious root meant especially for mechanical support, prop root, stirred root, like this. What kind of root particularly we will have to mention it. Whether the roots are unbranched or branched, roots branched or unbranched. So this is also described over here. Whether it is branched or unbranched roots they are. So this way, if there are any modifications, what kind of modifications? So whether the roots are fleshy, in nature, meant especially for storage of food, storage tissue, it is acting as fleshy, or some other modifications. So maybe clinging roots, climbing roots, or something else, whatever the type of root, so we will have to mention it particularly, right? So this is how we describe the root itself, right? After that one, next one is stem, right? How the stem is, whether the stem is herbaceous, right? Herbaceous. Whether the stem is woody, in nature or herbaceous in nature. Whether the stem may be rectangular or it may be flattened. Sometimes it is flattened, rectangular, or sometimes it is simply cylindrical, as usually seen in all kinds of plants, right? So this is how the stem. If there are any modifications in stem, modifications means whether the stem is underground, or subaerial, or it is aerial one, So if it is underground, then what kind of underground? Whether it is rhizome, bulb, core, like this. What kind of stem it is? We'll have to mention. Sometimes if it is subaerial, then whether it is runner, stolon, upset. So like this, what kind of stem it is? We'll have to describe the stem this way, right? So this is how we'll have to describe one flowering plant by using all those terms, whatever we have learned till now itself, right? I hope you are understanding how to describe one flowering plant if it is given in your hand, right? So if one flowering plant is given in your hand, then you can eligible, means you are able to describe so that flowering plant. So from the habit of the plant to root system to shoot system, all of these things are described by you by using such kind of terminologies, right? So I hope you are understanding now. Now leaf. How is the leaf? Whether the leaf is a simple or compound leaf. Simple leaf or compound leaf. If it is compound, what kind of compound? Here, so there are two types of compound leaves are there, that is pinnate leaf, compound leaf, and palmate leaf, compound leaf. What kind of leaf it is? Right? This is one thing. And apart from this one, whether it has petiole or not. If it is having petiole, petiolate, or else so it is sessile, petiolate or sessile leaf. Sessile in the sense that it doesn't have any stalk, right? Petiolate and sessile leaf. These are also the leaves. If at the base of the stalk of this leaf there is a leafy structure, and that is called a stipule. Whether these leaves have stipule, then they are called a stipulate leaf. If it is absent, exstipulate. Like this, stipulate leaf or exstipulate leaf. Like this we can describe that one. And apart from this one, next one is very important in a leaf structure. So there we come across the venation, right? So how is the venation? Venation parallel, or it may be reticulate, parallel venation, so reticulate venation. In these two types, many more types are there. What is that particular type? We can mention there itself, right? Venation is also very important related with this, right? Leaf itself. This is about the leaf. After this leaf, next one is flower. Next one is flower, that is nothing but floral parts. So there in floral parts, there we come across calyx, corolla, androsium, gynosium. Before that one, how the flower is, right? Flower, in flower, so whether it is complete or it is incomplete. So whether it is complete flower or incomplete flower. So this is more important aspect to be remembered. You have studied what is complete flower and what is incomplete flower, right? So whether the flower is bisexual or unisexual. So whether the flower is pedicellate or sessile flower. What is pedicellate? Is the stalk of the flower. So whether the flower has pedicel, then it is called as pedicellate flower. If it is absent, it's a sessile flower, right? So sometimes it may be trimeras, tetrameras, or it may be pentamerous flower. Whether the flower has 3 petals or the multiple of 3, then it is trimerous, 4 tetramerous, 5 pentamerous flower. So then what kind of flower these are, we will have to describe this way, right? So this is about the flower. Let us go through the floral parts, that is calyx. Whether the calyx what it contains? Sepals. Number of sepals we will have to mention here. Number of sepals. Whether the sepals are fused or free, based on that one. So polysepalous. Then free sepals are there. Gamosepalous in the sense that the sepals are fused, right? This is about the calyx we will have to mention. It is indicated by the symbol K itself, right? So calyx. And the next one is corolla. Number of corolla, that is number of petals, right? And so next one is whether it is polypetalous or gamopetalous. What is the condition? That we will have to mention there particularly. If there are any specific features or special features are there with the corolla, that also we will have to mention there also. So calyx also we will have to mention. Sometimes calyx, instead of green in color, it is colored one. Then it is said as a petaloid calyx itself, right? Petaloid sepals, right? We can describe this way. So this is about calyx as well as corolla. And the next one is Androsium. So in Androsium, what are present? Stamens are present. You are so familiar, stamens are present. So then we will have to mention here number of stamens. We will have to mention. So say for example, stamens are 10 in number. Right? Or else, so what kind of condition is seen in a stamen? Right? In the stamen, we can see dithecous anther or monothecous anther. What kind of anther lobes it has? Right? There are many conditions that we have studied in case of a stamen, that is Androsium. So what are those conditions that we come across? So that is nothing but adelphi, whether it is monoadolphus, diadolphus or so polyadolphus condition, means in this condition all the filaments are fused but the anthers are free. The condition is said as adelphi condition. Whether sometimes syngenesis condition, synandrous condition, syngenesis condition, synandrous condition, all these are the conditions. What condition is particularly is there in the stamina of that particular flower, that we will have to mention it very clearly. This is how we are going to describe the flowering plants, right? So you can understand everything now. So this is about the flower, how to describe that one. In flower, so we come across some more terminologies, that is regarding the gynosium. So how many number of carpels are there? Number of carpels, that we'll have to mention here. So this gynosium that contains the carpels, number of carpels we'll have to mention here. Whether it is apocarpus condition or syncarpus syncarpous condition, right? So whether it is monocarpillary, bicarpillary, pentacarpillary, so that is multicarpillary condition. So if it is unilocular, locules, how many number of locules are there? Unilocular, bilocular. What is the condition? That one also will have to mention over here. So this is how we study this gynosium also. Okay, so these are all different conditions in all the floral parts. Even in case of flower, I had explained. So how is the bract, right? If the flower has bract, bracteate. If it is not there, ebracteate condition. So bracteole, if it is present, then bracteolate. If it is absent, ebracteolate. So whether the flower is actinomorphic or the zygomorphic, so that is symmetry of the flower is considered over here, asymmetrical. All these are the things that we have to mention over here one by one. So as to describe all the parts of the flower itself, right? So this is all about the flower. So after this one, as I had listed, habit of the plant, root system. So how is the shoot system, that is the stem, how are the leaves, after the leaf, so they are floral parts. And the next one is, I had forgotten, that is inflorescence. Inflorescence, this is also more important. What kind of inflorescence so is there in that particular flower plant? So let us mention that one. It may be racemose, cymose, or sometimes so special type of inflorescence may be present here. So if it is racemose, then what kind of racemose? Simple racemose, so catkin, or so umbel. What kind of raceme it is? So particularly we will have to mention here. So if it is cymose, monocaseal, dicaseal, or something else, so that we will have to mention over here. Or special type of inflorescence. So what kind of a special type of inflorescence? Hypanthoddium or something else, you will have to mention it, right? So like this, inflorescence is also described over here. After that one, very important aspect, that is floral formula. What is that? Floral formula, right? So what is this floral formula? You know floral morphology of a flower, and that morphology of the flower is represented by some of the symbols, some of the abbreviations. By using some of the abbreviations or some symbols, we describe the flower, right? This is nothing but floral formula. Floral formula it is said as. Then how to describe a flower or floral parts? By using some of the abbreviations as well as symbols. That we will have to see first initially, right? Say for example, if the flower has bracteate, then BR, it is indicated by the abbreviation BR. If it is not having any bract, EBR, right? EBR, right? Like this. In the same way, bracteolate, right? BRL or EBRL. Ebracteolate, bracteolate. So like this, we indicate the flower by using these abbreviations. Apart from this one, next one, whether the flower is actinomorphic or zygomorphic. If it is actinomorphic, then it is indicated by this symbol, actinomorphic flower. If it is zygomorphic, then it is indicated like this, zygomorphic flower. This is zygomorphic, this is actinomorphic flower. So like this. And if the flower is unisexual in nature, unisexual in the sense that, so whether it is male or female, if it is indicated like this, then it is male flower. It is male flower. Or else, if it is indicated like this, it is female flower. It is female flower. I shall write here itself. So here it is male flower and it is female flower. So like this, if the flower is bisexual, then how to write it? Alright? So if the flower is bisexual, then we will have to indicate like this. So this is bisexual condition. Then next important things are floral parts like calyx. How to indicate the calyx, how to indicate the corolla, how to indicate the Androsium as well as Gynosium. All these floral parts are very important. Calyx is indicated by the word that is K. Corolla is indicated by C. Androsium is indicated by A. Gynosium G. Like this. So the number of sepals will have to mention at the foot of this word, that is K. Alright. See here, calyx, number of sepals. How many are there? 5 are there. If the calyx or the number of sepals are 5, then K is written like this. At the base or the foot of that one, 5 is mentioned there. If they are 5 in number. Then how to indicate gamosepalous condition? Alright? This is if the calyx or the sepals are free, then it is indicated like this, 5, K5. If the condition is like this, K, all the sepals are fused, then they are bracketed. K5 is kept inside the bracket. This bracket indicates all the sepals are fused. In the same way, petal condition. Alright? So, corolla, that is C, there are also 5. All the petals may be free or sometimes petals may be fused. Then indicate like this. Okay. Androsium A. Then how many number of stamens are there? We will have to mention at the foot of A. Here A. How many are there? 10 are there. Right? You may indicate, so A sometimes 9 plus 1. The condition I have told you in, so that is diadolphous condition, making 2 bundles of the, so what? Filaments. So 9 are there, they are fused. Fused in the sense that bracketed. 9 are kept inside the bracket. Plus 1 is kept outside. It is free. Right? So this is how Androsium 9 plus 1. 9 are kept inside the bracket. Apart from this one, sometimes what happens? So here Androsium are in 2 whorls. 5 stamens are there, they are lying in 2 whorls, then it is indicated by A5 plus 5. A5 plus 5. It is indicated like this. And Gynosium, it is very important thing, so you must remember. Gynosium is indicated by G. Right? How many number of carpels are there? 5 carpels. We will consider hibiscus over here. How many number of carpels are there? G5. Okay. Whether the carpels are fused or free. In hibiscus they are fused. Then how to write that one? Keep a 5 into the bracket. Keep a 5 into the bracket. What is the condition? Carpel 5 and they are syncarpous condition. Then whether the ovary is superior or inferior, how to indicate that one? Under this G, you put a mark like this. Under the G, you put a mark. What it indicates? It is ovary is superior. G is superior, that is ovary is superior. If you write this G, carpels are 5, they are free, and above the G if you put one mark, one hyphen mark, then what it indicates? It indicates ovary is inferior. Ovary is inferior. So this is how symbolically we are going to describe the flower. Right? See here, bracteate, ebracteate, bracteolate, ebracteolate, actinomorphic, zygomorphic. So male flower, female flower, male flower, female flower. So this is bisexual condition. Okay, calyx K. If 5 sepals are there, 5 K 5. Then K 5 is there. 5 is kept inside the bracket. What it indicates? So gamosepalous condition. Here also same. Androsium, number of stamens. If stamens are unlimited, in hibiscus they are unlimited, then how to indicate that one? A infinity. A infinity. If they are fused, means all the filaments are fused, then keep it into the bracket. Right? So like this is also Androsium. How to indicate that one? If they are in whorls of two bundles, then 9 plus 1, 9 are fused, they are kept inside the bracket, 1 is free, K aside. If they are in 2 whorls, 5 plus 5, if they are free, then you need not to keep any bracket, around 5. Okay, this is how symbolically we have to describe the flower. This becomes what? The floral formula of one particular family we can write. One particular flowering plant we can write like this. Right? So how to write that floral formula for particular family member or particular plant? So let us see now itself. Before going to write the floral formula of hibiscus plant or some other plants, we'll take an example. Okay, so one more term is there, that is epipetalous. What do you mean by epipetalous condition? Here the Androsium are present, that is nothing but stamen is attached on the petal. The condition is said to be as epipetalous condition, and one more is epiphyllous condition. What do you mean by epiphyllous condition? Epiphyllous in the sense that, so the Androsium or the stamens are attached on the tepals. Tepals, petals. That difference you must know. Here it comes the perianth, right? Unit of perianth is called as tepal. So epipetalous condition, how to show that one is very important one. See here, petals are there, corolla is there, 5 are there, all the corolla are free. Next one is, so Androsium, they are infinity, they are many and all are fused. But these Androsium, if they are present over the petals, then how to indicate that one? Like this. So it is indicated like this. Okay. So this is epipetalous condition. Suppose this is one example I am giving. So epiphyllous condition in the sense that this is perianth. So perianth has a 3 units are there indicating itself. Androsium is there. So 6 number of Androsium are there. So then if they are attached on the perianth, that is unit of perianth called as tepal, then indicate like this. Indicate like this. So this is epiphyllous condition. This is epipetalous condition. So this is how epiphyllous or epipetalous conditions are also mentioned in floral formula. So let us start with the Rosa silensis or the hibiscus flower. Hibiscus. So this flower has floral formula. Floral formula. How to write the floral formula of hibiscus? Imagine yourself hibiscus flower is there in your hand. Okay, how to describe that one? So you will find a small leafy structures at the base of the leaf, base of the flower. So then flower is bracteate, and even the flower is bracteolate. Bracteolate. So there 5 to 7 number of bracteoles are there. They are all free. Alright, 5 to 7 number of bracteoles are there. They are all free. So after this one, whether the flower is actinomorphic or zygomorphic, you will see the hibiscus plant, hibiscus flower. So when it is cut in any plane, then you will get two equal halves. What it contains, so what it has, so that is actinomorphic symmetry, right? Actinomorphic flower. Then whether the flower is bisexual or unisexual, it is bisexual obviously. How to indicate bisexual condition? So like this, bisexual flower. Okay, and after this one, so how is the calyx? Calyx, all sepals are fused, green leafy structures. So how many are there? 5 are there. All are fused. All are fused. K5 bracketed. So and corolla. What about corolla? All the 5 petals are there and they are free. They are not in gamopetalous condition. They are so polypetalous condition. C5. What about the Androsium? Androsium in the sense that there are infinite number of what are present? Stamens are present. So they are all fused on the style itself, you can see. So all the filaments of the stamens are fused so as to form a single bundle. Then we will have to show that is what? Infinite condition. After this one, gynosium is there, superior ovary is there, and 5 carpels are there. All carpels are fused in condition. So this is how we have to write the floral formula of one particular plant, one particular flower, right? Hibiscus itself. One more example I shall take here, Poison sativum, that is pea, flower of the pea, right? So the here the flower is bracteate flower and it is zygomorphic in nature. It is zygomorphic in nature, and how many calyx are there? That is 5 number of sepals are there. They are all fused. And corolla, what is the corolla? Very unique feature one. Already I had explained valvate estivation as well as twisted estivation, and one more estivation I had explained, that is vexillary, right? So that is imbricate. In imbricate there are 2 types. One is vexillary type. In vexillary there was one large standard petal and 2 lateral wings are there, right? And 2 smaller keel are there. So they are fused. So the condition is shown in this way. That is corolla 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2, 2 wings are there, 1, so standard petal is there, 2 wings are there, plus, so 2 more are there, they are fused, keel are there, they are fused. The condition is shown like this. Okay, is it very clear? And after calyx and corolla, Androsium you go. So Androsium, how many stamens are there? How many stamens are there? How many carpels are there? That will have to mention. Means A is written over here as well as G is also written over here. Here, so 9 number of stamens are there. They are fused plus 1 condition. Plus 1 in the sense that 1 stamen is separate, forming 2 bundle. That is diamorphous condition. So this is shown over here. So ovary is superior, underline G, and only one carpel is there. It is monocarpellary condition. So it is right at the foot of the G. Right? So like this. So this is the floral formula of. So one of the members of Papilionaceae member. So that is P. Right? So this is how to write the floral formula of different flowers. Right? Flowering plants. So let us conclude here this class. In the next class, we'll discuss how to write the floral diagram of one particular